Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to G4G here on YouTube. Today we're taking a look at Marvel Strike Force, and we're looking at the new Captain Marvel update. I'd actually recorded a video on this last night, but the mic was on mute, so gotta do it again. Yeah, that was really interesting. When I went to go compile the video and could see that there was no spikes in sound, I was like, oh shit. So, before we get into this, just want to let you guys know that I will be doing this video on the Captain Marvel update, Marvel Strike Force. Then I'll be doing a Captain Marvel video for Marvel Future Fight, and then we will probably wrap up the Marvel Avengers Alliance Power Level series by focusing on the Generalists, which should be a short video. And there's a major part of me that wants to do a video on Marvel as a whole, thanks to Brie Larson's comments recently about Captain Marvel and everything. I'm debating that, and I'm kind of scripting that one in my head, and that's really disturbing to scroll over and see Star-Lord just thrusting away over there. We're going to move Star-Lord over to the side there. We don't need to see that. Okay, so let us take a look at the offers. We have the Genie Orb, which will give us Minerva at about 25 bucks, and it ends in 2 days from now. You can get 16 of the orb shards, which will 16k, which will wrap up into 8 Genie Orbs. She is only 45 shards to unlock, so chances are this 25 pack will give you her. And we're going to talk about her, and I'm very interested in talking about her. I had an eye-opening experience looking at her last night. We have the Galactic Heroes Orb Bundle, which for 10 bucks will give you 4 of them. The heroic deal of $2 for a premium orb and 200 cores, which is okay. I mean, 200 for 2, but this is kind of interesting. This sets the trend that $1 is 100 cores. But if you look over here, here's 150 for 2. 375 for 4. So the 1-to-1 ratio clearly is not present in any of these offers whatsoever. So if you think about it, 2 for 2 is one of their better ratios over here, and that's saying a lot because it's Fox Next and kind of garbage with that. So as we get on to the new characters, here is a roster update from me. My main team is still Night Nurse, Black Widow, Yondu, Gamora, and Captain. Crossbones is part of my secondary team, which features Crossbones, Mordo, Quake, Strange, and Hawkeye. Sometimes Rocket Raccoon comes in instead of Hawkeye because he gets a tech bonus with Crossbones. Doc Strange, who had been languishing behind everybody else on my second team for a little while, finally got a boost by getting some red stars. So here is the red stars problem. As you can see by my Black Widow, she is a 5 red star character that jacked her power level through the roof, and that one click right over here puts her at tier 10. The general consensus is your teams should be no more than about 1,000 away from each other, and from top to bottom, I believe that it's really, you don't want your topmost person on the team to be more than like about 3,000 ahead of the lowest. Well, my Black Widow is 30k, and she is about 5k over the next closest one on the team, which is Yondu, who dinged 5 stars last night. Gamora's at 6 stars, and I could very easily jack her up, but then she's probably going to join Black Widow at the top of the ranks, and poor Captain America and Night Nurse are just going to get dusted over here. So that is, it's a first world problem, I understand, but that has been a complaint about Red Stars, is they can take a team and just throw them into complete disarray. My third team is my debuffer team, which features Scarlet Witch, Scientist Supreme, Venom, Loki, and Spider-Man. So these two get synergy, and the Loki Scientist Supreme Scarlet Witch are all about debuffs and sharing them, spreading them. And then there is my hero brawler team with Miss Marvel, Wolverine, Deadpool, a poor Daredevil down here. And is that everybody that's on that team? Let's see, my brawler team is 1, 2, 3. Daredevil at 4. There's somebody else who's ridiculously low on the team that gets outclassed. So my teams are unfortunately beginning to suffer non-parity over here. And they're getting spread out a little bit. I need to kind of corral that. So, let's talk about the Kree work and the new characters and everything. Now, it's not going to be a surprise for me anymore because I looked at them last night, but I'll try to have as a generally not rehearsed reaction as possible because it was not rehearsed last night. I was looking at them for the first time while doing the video. Today, I admit I've got a little bit more knowledge of the characters. So my Star-Lord is really close. I'm definitely not going to get him in this cycle, unfortunately. And I can show you why. Carnage, I've got him at 38 because I did get the offer, but it wasn't anywhere close. And you can see Minerva's a 45 and Carnage is a 100. Magneto's kind of getting there. And then there's Captain Marvel. Interestingly enough, she's pretty well fleshed out graphically looking in this game. I've heard some complaints that in Marvel Future Fight she's just another plain blonde, and that means she kind of gets lost among a recent Black Widow costume, Invisible Woman, Agent 13. She's kind of Brie Larson-esque looking in Marvel Future Fight, but still even a little bit more generic. And she's just getting lost in the sea of blondes. But she does stand out pretty well over here. So, looking at Minerva, she's villain, cosmic, support, tech, and Kree. She's going to be good. Let's dive into her and you'll see why. Her bioweapon... Oh, by the way, for the large consensus, there isn't really a good orange gear level draw in the bunch. There's a few abilities that you could orange, but I would say that most of them aren't orange worthy. That's just what I noticed last night. So her standard ability is damage and a bleed, damage and regeneration to the most injured non-summon ally. So this is kind of key. Ronan is now going to summon allies, and there is nothing worse than having Night Nurse use her big single target heal, and you're like, oh, that's gonna hit my Gamora because my Gamora is really low, and like a fucking Kingpin minion intercepts the heal because he's low and he gets it. This is really good that it has this conditional because it means that you're not going to be sitting there buffing little cheap ass minion mobs that are summoned. So this is kind of nice. And then you get bleed and regeneration. You get always bleed, and then you get always regeneration to the most non-summoned. So, oranging this one is just damage. So, who cares? But this is a nice chain of abilities over here. And it shows you that Fox Next is kind of giving supports some love. Because if you look, almost every support in the game has some kind of a debuff on their level 1, like Night Nurse and the Shield Medic and Scientist Supreme. They can do something on their level 1, which means they're better than just being a healing bitch out on the field. Genetic Reconstruction. Heal the most injured ally for 500 health plus 5% of this character's max health. Generate ability to a random Kree. Revive a dead ally and apply death proof. This is really, really nice because what happens when people get revived in this game? For the most part, they're dead the next ability that comes their way. I mean, think about when Wolverine has his passive resurrection. He comes back as Red Bar, and you can just stick your finger up one side of your nose and shoot a booger rocket at him, and he's dead. So this is pretty cool, and I like its application for, say, crossbones. So he could taunt in one turn, blow up in the next turn with his death proof. Maybe somehow somebody kills him. This revives him and he gets death proof back again. And if you have enough time to heal him, he could tank again. It's pretty cool. Here we have more healing and more max health. More healing with 2 death proofs. I almost said, like, I combined Deadpool and death proof there. More healing, more max health, bigger healing. Again, I don't think this is orange worthy. I think if you stopped at 6, that's pretty good. Some of these, I think if people flip the 6 and 7s, it's more of a call to orange the ability. This is masked phlebotomy, which is our level 3. I think a phlebotomist is somebody who works with blood. They might even be the person who takes your blood when you're having typical doctor visits and everything. I could be wrong. It's not a medical term that I've heard recently, but a friend of mine who is going to medical school has mentioned, like, phlebotomist once, and I think that's what I remember it being, is like the person who would draw your blood if you're having, like, a yearly checkup or something. Steal health from enemies and redistribute it to all the allies. All the allies get health, and this bypasses the heal block. Apply regeneration. So when you first see this, you're like, wow, that almost makes me consider not using Scarlet Witch, because Scarlet Witch evens out the health like a Soul Link totem from Shaman in World of Warcraft, which basically takes your high people. Say you have somebody at, like, basically 0% health, but they're alive, and you have people at 100% health. It takes them and it pulls the 0 guys up to 50, and it drops the 100% guys down to 50, and just evens it out. This is similar, except it doesn't take health from weak people. It just is like a vampire action that she hooks up to a lawn sprinkler and says, okay, I've just stolen health from the enemy team, here you go, lawn sprinkle. Plus the regeneration is nice. But here's where this gets interesting. At level 2, she applies a deflect to Kree allies. And then she does more health. She does always apply the regeneration. And then she always applies a bleed. Very, very Scarlet Witch-esque ability from Marvel Avengers Alliance, where you get the heavy positives and the heavy negatives on the enemy team at the same time. It's like her Chaos Spheres to a degree. You could argue that this is more effective than Scarlet Witch, because they both get through the heal block. They both will apply a deflect, except Minerva's only doing it to Kree, not just random teams. But you're getting a regeneration out of it. You are getting a deflect if you are making a heavy Kree team. And then you're also doing a bleed. You could really make a case that this is better than Scarlet Witch's ability, especially if it's an all Kree team. And then finally we have Kree Nanotech, which is her passive. On an ally death, change the speed bar by 15%. I guess it means her speed bar. On enemy death, heal the most injured non-summoned ally for 5% of this character's max health. If it's Kree, give him a random effect, which is almost aim minion-esque over here. This one could potentially be orange worthy of a better speed bar over here, but this is really, really strong, because let's say you have an ally dying, she gains some speed, and then she may have enough speed to jump everybody's turn and then resurrect them with genetic reconstruction quickly and get them back out on the field. So I think she's a strong, strong healer. And my guess is that you'll see her showing up on tier charts as maybe an A-B border on the tier, with an asterisk of she jumps up a notch or two with a specialized team, and it's clearly all Kree, and we'll get back to that. We're going to look at Ronan, and that's where things will become interesting. By the way, let's not forget that Ultimus is Kree. Captain Marvel, she's a hero cosmic bio-brawler Kree, and a category called military. More on that in a moment. So she's Kree also, but she's a hero, obviously. Princess Sparkle Fist is her level 1. This is an ability that I don't recognize the name for. We'll get to Warbird, Binary, Higher, Further, Faster, but Princess Sparkle Fist is not a term that I know. But then again, I don't know the comics of Miss Marvel, so that might be related there, but I've never seen that referenced in any of the other games I've seen Miss Marvel in. If you look at her star pattern, in the chest there, it's very, very similar to Minerva's. So Princess Sparkle Fist is attack a primary target for damage, 50% chance to chain to an additional target. If she's binary, haha, there's some social commentary I could make there, but if she's not binary, gain charged up to a maximum of 5. If she is binary, she loses a charge, and on losing all charged and binary. So it's almost like a token from Magic the Gathering, or a +1/+1 counter, kind of. It reminds me of the counter mechanics from Marvel, yeah. Magic the Gathering. I don't mean counters and counter attack. I mean those spin-up counters of +1/+1, then you take a +2/+2, +3/+3, etc. That's kind of what this reminds me of. You escalate the damage, but you never really escalate the chance to get it. So it's always going to be... Excuse me. It's always going to be 50%. I find that a little interesting that they didn't escalate the chances. They just went raw damage. And again, at level 7, I don't think it's worthy of an orange. Warbird, I definitely do remember as a skin in Marvel Heroes. I have heard that term referring to her before. She attacks a primary target. If she's not in binary, she gains charged up to 5. If she is binary, lose a charge. She escalates her damage, and then she starts clearing positive effects, and then she clears all positive effects, and then she ups the damage again. Maybe not orange worthy, but if they flip the 6 and the 7, I bet you would want to orange her. Binary in this game, I think, is basically going to be her costume with the mohawk mask, based on what I've seen on a few splash screens. However, in Marvel Heroes, Binary was a costume that gave her like an all-white onesie bathing suit, and she was like all orange, and she had like spiky lightning bolt hair that was orange. But on this one, it seems to just give her that masked variant, which I think is a little bit different. I pretty much think the orange version is the one that's more true to form than just the mohawk mask, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, I just don't know the comics. Here's where she gains her binary, and she attacks the primary target for a heavy hit. Can't be dodged, but it cannot crit. So you could say that's fairly balanced. She clears negative effects from herself, she bumps her damage, clears all negative effects, and then an orange is a damage bump. Higher, further, faster. While in binary mode, gain damage, armor, focus, and resistance. While in binary, on the end of turn, attack all enemies for 60% damage. On spawn, clear all charged if any charge were cleared. Gain regeneration, gain charged. If at least one military is present, gain an additional charge. More on that in a moment. If not in binary, when this character gains ability, any energy, there's the charge. Complicated thing, but it's basically another way of her getting charged and whatnot. She doesn't gain the binary out of it, but she gains her charges over here. Very interesting to have this attack all enemies at the end of turn. That is not a very common ability you see in this game, but it is ones I've seen in others, like DC Legends, and a few characters had it, Marvel Avengers Alliance. It's interesting to see them branching out for some of their abilities. Military allies gain health and damage. Damage to all enemies, heal self. And damage to all enemies, 10% healing. You might consider this one orange worthy because it helps her stay around longer. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at Ronan, who has some major changes. Hammer Smash. Attack the primary target for damage. Get piercing. The attack is unavoidable. Chance to clear positive effects from the primary target. So he escalates his damage. He escalates his chance to remove positive effects. He ups his piercing. And then ups the damage and does piercing again. Don't know if it's orange worthy, but it sounds like his damage really gets up there. Judgment. Summon a Kree ally at 100% normal damage, 100% normal health. Clear new 2 negative effects from one random ally. You either get the Reaper, which is Miss Stabby Stab, or the Noble, which is kind of a support person. Ally damage up if they're Kree. Clear 2 more negative effects from 3 allies. Kree damage, Kree damage. Clear 2 negative effects from all allies. A guaranteed 2. I would say this one is orange worthy because it's finally an effect. Just better than raw damage. Universal weapon. Attack all enemies for damage. Apply the ability block. Plus apply the ability block to an additional enemy. So you're going to get the target. And then you're going to get one other person. The damage escalates. The ability block adds people. And then finally at level 7 you have increased damage. Again, maybe not orange worthy, but close if you're buying into it. Whenever this character or any Kree ally gains energy, they change their speed bar and are healed. Health plus 15% of this character's max health. He gains resistance and applies resistance to Kree allies. He bumps the healing, he bumps the max health and damage to non-summoned Kree minions. And then healing and resist to Kree. Again, this one is a little bit orange worthy if you are going a full Kree team. It used to be that they would say you never go full retard, and that's what a Kree team would be. Now, it seems like Kree are finally getting the love that they may or may not deserve in the game. I did fight a Kree team with one of my PvP teams last night in Blitz. While not being as punch above their weight class as a defender team, they still were pretty solid. Accuser. Whenever this character or any Kree ally gains energy, change the speed bar and then... Oh yeah, we looked at that. So, that's Ronan. That's his changes over there. And he really becomes the leader, of the Kree. So if we were to look at Krees, here is the Kree roster. Korath, the Oracle, the Noble, the Reaper, the Guard, Ronan, and Cyborg, along with Ultimus, Marvel, and Minerva. Pretty much what you would expect. And in terms of that energy, I mean, just look at all of the Krees like level 1s over here. One ability energy to one random ally. Always generate the ability energy. That one might be orange worthy. The regeneration to most allies, if they're Ronan or a Kree minion, apply an additional regeneration. And finally, level 7, apply regeneration for 2 turns. This does not affect the additional regeneration from Ronan and Kree minions. So, he's a pretty solid support. But then you have Minerva's support. Kree Noble is, of course, one of the cornerstones of annoying Kree teams in PvE. She generates energy off the level 1. If that ally's Kree, gain an defense up, which is pretty massive for Korath. He's so fast. If you give him extra damage, all the better. Loyalist is always ridiculously obnoxious when you're playing against them in PvE. On turn, 50% chance to clear a negative effect from one random ally with a negative effect if the ally's Kree remove an additional one. So a full Kree team's got a 2 debuff remover here. It escalates the chance. Then there's an always, and on turn, clear one negative effect from 2 allies with negative effects. So if 2 people are bleeding with 1 stack, that removes it. Kree's support is really solid, and if you think about it, there is a lot of Kree support, which is weird. Predatory Strike just bleeds and damage. Ferocious Pursuit bleeds and, well, excuse me, heal block and damage. And then Hunter Killer on crit, heal the self for max health, generate 1 ability energy for 1 random Kree, gain 5% crit chance per Kree minion ally. So that's really good if you're going a full Kree team. I think for most modes, for all the PvP modes, you'd probably want to stick with the raw offense of it. But if you're running like a raid or PvE or even Blitz, you could probably get away with pulling 2 out of Minerva, Kree, and Noble. So out of the pool of 3, I believe you would wind up being able to pick 2 to make an effective team. Putting 3 would just probably be healer overkill. The Kree Royal Guard, we know he gets annoying when we have to face him. He gains a counter on the level 1 along with damage up. Call to Glory is the taunt, the defense up to 2 random Krees only. If Ronan's the ally, heal him additionally. While in taunt, 25% chance to generate ability, generate 1 ability energy for a random Kree ally. So you can see how much all Kree fade into other Kree. And it's not just that. It's not just what they say they're going to do, like, oh, if a Kree is this, a Kree is that. It's the fact that the actual ability, even if it didn't mention Kree, does good things for Kree teams. I don't know that I would push my Kree team up, but you can see there's a lot of red stars here, especially Korath and the Oracle. Ronan is okay, but I cannot make a team out of them right now because Korath and Ronan are about 7,000 apart, which is really awful. And there's a huge drop between the Oracle to the Noble, so not much I could do about a team right now. And then my Royal Guard is absolute pants along with the Cyborg. But there's that random ability energy again. Could be a fun team. They do punch above their class. Do I think they punch further above them than, say, a Defenders team? I would doubt it. But they're doing it a little bit. You'll probably see them appearing, especially in Blitz. And you know what's good about Captain Marvel is she could fit in on several groups. She could go into a Kree group, but then she can go into this new group called Military. They lack a healer, but they have a tank. They have 2 good DPS, including an AoE DPS. And if Captain Marvel's damage winds up being as good as we think it is, she may be very, very good single target DPS. That leaves something you can add over here. I would probably say a Kree to keep the Kree and Captain Marvel healthy. Here's my Iron Patriot, who I wish I could reskin at this point because I got my car and it was, or not my, no, I don't have my car. There was something about him that I was thinking of. Well, he shares some colors with my car. I mentioned that yesterday, but there was something I was thinking about for a decent uniform for him. It's slipping my mind right now. I don't remember what it was. Um, but you could add Iron Man to this. See, there's a lot of things you could do. If you did a military team, you've got your tank and you've got a bunch of DPS and everything. Sadly, you don't really have a healer that's military. But if you add an Iron Man to this to just help War Machine be even better, sadly though, Bucky counts as military. So there goes um, the faction bonus there, or damage is increased per hero ally. So you can kind of take it on the chin and add somebody who is a villain, or keep everybody a hero, kill Winter Soldier, and get probably 3 Kree in here, Captain Marvel and 2 other Kree. And then that might be good. Just try to protect War Machine to let him blow all of his cooldowns and things kind of melt. Maybe Rocket for a tech bonus. So that is pretty much this update that we've got over here. We have looked at Minerva and Ronan and Captain Marvel. Those are the big changes here. I would think the Minerva bundle is going to be worth it, because I'm sure you'll probably unlock her at that point, and you'll at least get to play around with her if you do. I mean, she'll be like a level 2 or something like that. You don't want to commit too many resources to her, but if you unlock her ahead of her event where you can gain her, I say go for it. It's not the most whale thing Fox Next has done, but it's not the cheapest thing they've done either. I actually think it is a little on the expensive side, but I might still actually get it, to be honest. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this one is muted this time. So, I will catch you guys later. Peace out.